Are you ready, Hillary?
I'm excited.
I'm excited to get to talk with you on a microphone. Not that I haven't talked to you in a long time, but this is our first official talk on a microphone since you left the show.
Yeah, it's been almost 3 years. I was thinking about that today. I was like, this is the first time I've been behind a microphone in almost 3 years. And the last time I was probably the last Best Bits episode I recorded with you.
Yeah.
Would probably be the last time.
It definitely would have been.
Yeah.
Especially like a conversation between you and I.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
a lot
been
of
so
life
long.
has happened since then.
I know.
You want to give a catch up? Okay. This whole thing is catching up. You want to share you left the show. What happened? What'd you do? What life events? What went down?
Yes. No drama or anything. I think people were probably like, why did you leave? Did something happen? But nothing happened. I feel like it was kind of I was turning 30 and I had my entire 20s, I'd been in radio almost 10 years, had been radio. And I just had really thought, I really want to try something new going into my 30s. And I just kind of had that, I don't know, like a pull. There was just something telling me go try something, go do something. And so it was a very scary decision because radio is my comfort. That's all I know is radio. So I ended up, leaving and found a job at a record label. I'm a project manager now. And that was, I think April will be 3 years ago, which is crazy.
And how do you feel in this new job? Are you happy you're still in the industry?
Yes, I'm happy I'm still in the industry. I do miss radio. There will be times where I'll see stuff on socials. I'm like, dang, I do miss the show. And I miss everyone there. Obviously, we still talk all the time. So it's nothing's changed between me and you. But yeah, I do miss radio. There's so many times where I'll see videos, not even just the show, but other radio people, my friends in radio, and I see them doing stuff. I'm like, dang, I miss it so much. So yeah, I do miss radio.
Do you think there's a world in which you go back for the right situation?
Maybe. I'm keeping my options open. If the right opportunity, I feel that way about anything, even if it was something non-music industry related, honestly, anything. I have learned just to keep my options open, and who knows what could happen.
Do you think getting out of the music industry entirely though would make you sad? Because you do really love music.
I think so. Yeah, it would make me sad. I've thought about it before. I'm like, okay, what if I tried something completely different? Because I do want to just try new things. And that was a part of me leaving, was just to try something new and learn something about myself and grow my skills in other areas. So I think if it was the right opportunity and it was something I think I would enjoy, then I would. I can't see myself going and being an accountant or anything, or,
going back to school to be a lawyer.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm not going back to school. That's a for sure not happening. But yeah, I think it would have to be something marketing, fun, something in that realm.
What about always in Nashville? I know.
Yes.
As long as I've known you, you've missed Florida, which is your home state.
Yes, I am from Florida. I do miss Florida, but I love Nashville so much that I can't see myself leaving. I'm working on getting my family here. That's
getting them to move here.
Where we're at right now is I don't want to leave, so you need to come up here.
And how are we working on that? How's it going?
They were just here and they came to visit, so I take them to pretty places. I'm like, isn't it so nice being out? There's mountains right there and trees. Not that they don't have trees in Florida, but it's a different.
Trying to show everything different.
It's a different vibe here in Tennessee, and I think my family would like it here. Yeah. I just keep telling them, you're gonna love it here. It's great. It's very calm and peaceful. I'm happy and I'm here, so you should come.
And you're here. That's all the reason they need.
That's the only reason.
Yeah. I have tried on multiple friends and family to get them to move to Nashville, and I have been unsuccessful on every single one.
Yeah. It's hard. Me and you are both trying. I know.
And it hasn't worked.
No.
Okay, but not just career-wise, though. A lot has changed just in your life in general. You've had a boyfriend for a long time.
Yes. When is it? End of February, early March will be 2 years.
Which is so crazy. Okay, do you want to share how you guys met? Because that's also wild.
Yes, we did meet at work. We sat 3 seats down from each other. We worked together for an entire year before we started dating. We started hanging out more. And honestly, what happened was he invited me to church. I had been talking to him at work, and I just mentioned, I didn't really know he went to church. And I said that I was looking for a church home. And he said, why don't you come to my church? So I ended up going. The first service I went to, it was like a special anniversary that they were having, and it was at the Ryman, and Carrie Underwood showed up. So I'm like, well, this was a great first church service to go to. So, but then I ended up going to like the actual services and really loved it. So I started going
Carrie
with him.
Underwood show up some more, or just the one time?
She goes to church there.
Okay.
Yeah, and she recently sang there a few months ago, and I've been seeing it on social media. It's so interesting to see your church just like on news sites and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But yeah, it's the same church she goes to.
Which is kind of kismet in a way, because you love Carrie Underwood.
Love Carrie Underwood.
She might be one of your top 3.
Yes, she is definitely in my top 3.
Is she your top 1 though? I feel like Taylor Swift is.
It's between her and Taylor Swift, probably. Oh, such a hard one, but probably Taylor. If you go look at my whatever you call it, Wrapped or whatever that is, Taylor's my top.
Well, you also haven't had any Carrie Underwood parties. You've only had a few Taylor Swift parties. And not just one, but a few.
Oh, a few. Yeah. Get excited about these album releases.
You do.
Yeah. Now though, in my job, I have to plan actual album release parties. So I feel like I'm so into doing them for work that in my own personal life, I'm like, I don't need another party to plan. So
when you did the first album release party, were you like, oh, I can do this? I've been doing these personally forever. And then you're like, oh, it becomes when it's part of your job where like, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, this was fun. Whenever, when you're doing it personally, but then you're just like, I can't do this. I can't plan it. I can't plan anything else.
Yeah.
I have to put all my focus into planning my work parties. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, back to the boyfriend situation, because when you were on the show, you were single and you had shared the hardships of dating.
Yes.
Much like me. Yes. Which is funny that when you left the show and you got a new job and you met this boyfriend in the new job. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I have. It feels like such a God thing of, okay, maybe this is why I left. Because if I wouldn't have left, we would have never met each other. And I do feel like he's the one. I do think we're going to get married. We've talked about it. We've been ring shopping. We've done all the things. So definitely feel that way about him. And it's crazy that if I would have stayed, I would have never met him. Mm-hmm. There's just, we wouldn't have crossed paths. So
and definitely, he is the kindest guy ever. Genuinely.
He is.
I don't think I've met a more kind human being. He's just always smiling, always happy, always willing to help.
Yes. He is the happiest person I have ever met in my life and the kindest. I know he would do anything for anyone. And he's so sweet about my friends too. Like he always asks about y'all. And like
he
randomly
likes my stuff.
Yes, he watches y'all's stories, likes your things, very supportive.
Very supportive.
But he'll always ask randomly. We'll just be sitting there. He's like, "How's Morgan Hulsman doing?" I'm like, she's good. Same
updates.
Yeah,
like
she's doing good. But yeah, he always asks about y'all and wants to know what's going on with y'all. And just having somebody who actually cares not just about me, but my friends and my family is. That just, I don't know, that says so much to me about somebody's character.
I know. And I think everybody collectively is super happy for you because they got to follow a piece of your story and now you're in this great relationship. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I knew about the ring shopping and stuff, but is there more to that I don't know about yet?
No, because I don't think there's anything I know. Like I think something's coming.
Got it.
I don't think I've really said that out loud, but I think something's coming.
Okay.
You'll get a text.
I mean, I'm sure it will be coming at some point. I better get a text.
You'll be
FaceTime to see the ring.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. You're getting a FaceTime, not a text.
I mean, if it's here, I better also be there. But
yeah,
I have a feeling it may not be.
I think maybe over the holidays.
Okay. I have a feeling he's going to do it around your family because your family is so important to you.
Yeah. We're going to be near his family and my family. So there will be two opportunities.
Yeah, but if I know him and I know you, I think he will do it around your family, and maybe he like flies out his family to be there too. But I just imagine he's going to do it around your family.
I think so too. Me and you are on the same wavelength. Like I'm even nervous to say this because if he knows that I have a suspicion, he may change his plans.
He might.
But
you don't have to say it if you're like, I want that to happen.
I think it may happen. I need to make sure my nails aren't painted right now, but I'm going to make sure. I'm going home tonight to paint my nails, and they're going to be painted just for the foreseeable future because you never know when it could happen.
This is true. So you can't have a plain nail for the next month at least.
I'm like hiding them right now because I'm embarrassed now. But we need to go paint the nails. I picked out the color last night. I was like, this looks like a nice color if I were to get engaged. This is the color I want to be wearing.
What is the kind of ring you want that you've been telling him that you want?
Oh, it's picked out. Like I know I've always kind of known what I wanted. Yeah. I really want an oval ring with what are they called? I can't think of the marquee. It's a marquee diamond like on its side as the band. So like the band would be like marquee diamonds and then an oval in the middle. But I told him
silver,
gold. I said, this is what I like, but if you feel inspired by something else or there's, you do you. You know what I want. Just go with it and do whatever. I'll be happy with anything. I don't care.
Okay, but will you actually be happy with anything because you've had this one picked out for so long?
I would. I know I say that hesitantly, but I would because, honestly, at the end of the day, I just want to marry him.
Yeah.
But he is the type of person, he's not going to stray. Like
if he does, it'll be similar or something better, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe that's why you're not as nervous to say like, do what you want.
Yeah. Because he has my guidance. So what's funny is I made a note section in my phone of what I liked and it has all the details and everything. And I sent it, I think it was to my mom. And one day me and him were talking. This is before me and him actually went ring shopping. I had an idea of what I wanted. And I had sent it to my mom and I was talking to him and he said, I know nothing about rings. What do you even want? I said, I have a whole note section. I shared it with my mom. He goes, why wouldn't you share it with me? I'm the person who's picking it out. Like, I think I need to know, what you want.
Well, so I shared it with him. Went to her instead of saying anything to you.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I said, I thought you would went to my mom, not to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've never done this before. So I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Every guy's different. Some guys go to the friends. Sometimes the guys go to the family. Sometimes they tell nobody. Sometimes they ask the woman. It's like, it depends on the partner that you have.
Yeah. Like, what are you supposed to do in these situations? There's no rule book.
Have you always been, because this is what's so funny about me at this point in my life, but I feel like you've stayed consistent in this. Like, I had a Pinterest board growing up of everything I wanted at my wedding, the house that I wanted and the different clothes I wanted to wear as I got older, like all these different boards of inspiration of ways that I had panned for like one in my life to turn out.
Yeah.
None of it, I don't think, has stayed consistent. I don't think any of that I actually
I feel the same for myself.
Okay. But you are more consistent and I am in that. I feel like you've kind of always had this feeling of like, this is what I want. So have your things matched up with your Pinterest boards?
Yes and no. I feel like I've definitely changed. So I also think I need to mention too, this is my first boyfriend. Like I never had a boyfriend before him and we started dating when I was 30. So I think as I started getting later into my 20s, I thought I may actually never get married and I need to accept this. So I think in my mind, I was starting to accept that the dreams I had for myself, like the house, the wedding, everything may not happen. So things have kind of changed since then. But I do think what I would want now is very different than what I would have wanted in my 20s. I think as I've gotten to be an adult, I realize how expensive things are.
A wedding especially.
And I don't know if you've ever Googled what is the average cost of a wedding in Tennessee, but it's quite a lot.
I would imagine somewhere in the 50,000 range, if not higher.
It's probably like a higher 30s, 40s.
Okay.
Which I am not about. That is a down payment on a house.
It's also a down payment on a car. It's actually might be a whole vehicle.
That's a whole vehicle. Would you rather have a car or a wedding that's one day? This has been a whole conversation me and him have had about weddings and things like that. It's turned into a whole thing of obviously I want something nice, where my friends are going to be and family, but I can't stomach paying that price. Mm-hmm. And it's just not. It's opened up another whole nother conversation. I have thought about this so much. Why is it always like automatically assumed the bride's family is supposed to pay for a wedding? Like,
it's the old school traditions, I think, rooted in the fact that the husband spends the rest of his life providing and taking care of.
It is. I Googled it.
Is that what it is?
That is.
That's just my best guess.
That is so old fashioned. I'm so sorry. But there are women out there who make more than a man now.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm about to open up a can of worms. People are going to be mad at me. But
no, but I mean, you still have people who want the traditional, and I think that's great if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And I think you have a lot of people who don't. So it is interesting that like one of the most old school traditional things is something that we don't ever like talk about. We just assume it's still going to happen, even though everything else has changed.
I've never heard anybody talk about this before. And it really baffles me that nobody talks about this. Yep. And I got to talk to my parents, and I'm like, I can't ask you for $40,000 to pay for a wedding for me. I just can't imagine. Y'all have been so gracious my entire life. And I just can't do that. And you come from you're like my family, 3 girls in my family, 4 in your family.
Yep,
your dad
lots of girls.
Your dad and my dad right now are probably applauding us like, yes. Why are we spending all this money? But I just don't understand, like, why is it still automatically assumed that a bride's family is paying for a wedding?
You know what's funny is like my parents are towards the point of thinking of retirement and where that's at in their lives and when they're going to do it and whatever. And one of their conversations is like, well, Morgan isn't married yet. And they're like, well, we need to make sure we have like this. And I overheard this conversation. I was like, stop right there. I do not care what your plans are for retirement. Do whatever you guys want to do, but you are not basing this off of paying for a wedding for me.
Yes.
Like you guys have done so wonderful providing for me my entire life. And I appreciate that you guys want to do that. And if you want to do certain things around that, great, but you're not paying for an entire wedding. Also, I'm probably going to get married on a mountain somewhere and you won't have to worry about it.
I love it. I love that. That sounds like my dream wedding too. I feel the same way. Like, you've provided so much for me. And my mom's like, we're going to want to, pay some of it. And I said, but I can't let you pay for all of it. I'm an adult making money. I feel like, as a couple, we can pay for it. It's our wedding. So yeah, I feel the same way.
How does Tyler, which is your boyfriend, feel?
Yeah.
And you've posted about him.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I can say his name,
about it.
right?
Yeah, you can say it. Yeah, we're good.
I mean,
we're not
talking about
secretive.
rings and getting married.
Yeah,
so
we're fine.
yes.
You can call him out.
How does he feel in that conversation?
I think at first, because he's never thought about it either. Nobody's thought about it because, again, it's automatically assumed that a bride's family just pays for it. So he's never thought about it.
Yeah. And
once I explained it, he was like, oh, okay. And he gets it. And he also understands. It's funny because when we first had this conversation, he was, I want to have a huge wedding. We're inviting everybody, even the mailman. Like, we're inviting everyone. Like, I want everybody there. This is a big deal. Yeah. And once we really talked about it financially, of this is a lot of money. We want to buy a house. We have a future we need to plan for. Yeah, we might need to scale this back. So he absolutely gets it now. Oh, yeah. And he's on board. And I, like you to mention your parents wanting to retire. I want my parents to retire. I don't want them to have to spend more money on me. They've already, so kind. They paid for my college. They've paid for so much of my life that they don't need to pay this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't think you and I are alone in that feeling. I think a lot of, especially as we get older, because I do think this is also changing with the shift of getting married older. Mm-hmm. I think when you get married younger, you don't have the money. You don't have the funds. You haven't been working in a career long enough to have this idea of how money moves and forms and how it transpires and wasting $30,000 on a wedding.
Right.
But the older you get, you're like, oh, maybe not, or I don't want to do this. And you just have different views and perspectives.
Yep.
And still I also think it's awesome when families want to. If there's families out there who they're like, no, we want to do this. This is part of it. Cool.
It's your business.
But just even the idea of a big wedding in general, now I'm like, I don't think I want all of that.
I don't want a big wedding. I've even debated, which I want them, but like bridesmaids and stuff, because I don't want y'all to have to pay for anything either. So I'm very money conscious. And I've even I've seen people doing Airbnb weddings, which is a little cheaper as well.
Where you get married, stay there, all the things.
Yeah, like the whole family can come stay. Mm-hmm. And I I want it to be, I'm not a big party person. Like I don't dance. I don't do any of that. You know me. And I want it to be like an experience. Like if we could all go stay in a cabin somewhere for a couple of days and like make it fun and make it like kind of like a vacation.
Yeah.
An experience of some sort. So that's kind of where my head is, which I need a ring before I can actually plan anything.
That's okay.
But this is how my brain works. I just like, I spiral. I think of everything.
But this is the variation of Pinterest board now, right?
Yes.
Where you're actually picturing what is possible and what you think is the actual reality of your life.
Yes.
You know, not just that, oh, these are the dream goals and you're picking things that are the things that I would pin on my Pinterest board were probably $20,000. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
the crazy things that I would put
We had
on there.
no idea what we were doing.
No, even I go back and look at them and I'm like, what was I even thinking?
What was I thinking? I don't know if you had to do this in home ec class, but we had to do a whole like, do you know what home ec is?
Yeah. I think ours was called home ec too.
Oh, okay.
That was like our food sewing.
Yeah. Yeah. You do all like the things.
Yeah.
Like you learn how to cook and like we sewed pillowcases and things like that.
I made a quilt in that class.
Oh, that's cool. We did not do that. We just did the whole pillowcases.
It's just a little one.
Yeah. It was not anything fancy.
Actually, that might have been the advanced one. I think I might have continued in the advanced, but what's crazy is I don't have any of those skills now.
Oh, I have none of them. Like it's very pitiful. I didn't learn much in home ec. It was not
I learned a lot when it happened.
I don't really know if I did. No, I don't think I did.
Did you have to carry around the baby?
No, you know what we did? We had to carry around eggs. Like we had like, you go buy a carton of eggs and you had to carry them around like in a little basket.
The whole carton?
No, like you could pick how many you wanted. So like if you wanted 2 kids, they were your kids.
Got it.
And
did you paint them or they were just sort of like little white bare eggs?
Yeah, they were just, I put a face on them. So like you made them look like, you know, you made them have a face.
It is a literal because they are an egg.
Yeah. And you would be graded on if you came back and they had a crack or a scratch or anything, you were graded on that, which kind of honestly is a little smart. Yeah. Because if if there's a crack in your egg, then clearly you did not do a great job. So we were all walking around with our little baskets, like, don't come near us, don't crack our little eggs. And we'd have to put them on our desks.
How long did you have to care for the eggs for?
Oh, I don't even remember. It was probably a few weeks, maybe.
That's insane though, because listen, I get it. Like kids are fragile.
Yeah.
But eggs can literally crack at a touch.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. That's what we were in charge of, though.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I think mine survived, if I remember.
You also naturally have motherly instincts. That's always been a part of you. Like, even in our friendship, you just have natural mother instincts.
I think so, too. I just care. Like, I'm the one who I like to check in on everybody, make sure everybody's doing okay.
Oh, and you're totally going to be a helicopter mom.
Oh, you think so? Mm-hmm. Oh, that scares me.
You know why? Because you already like to watch us, like where we're going. You're like, oh, there you are. So you're totally going to be doing that to
Find my friend.
Yes.
I know I admitted to everyone that, because we all follow each other. I'm like, there will be just some nights, and like, this is going to sound so creepy, but I'll just be laying in bed and like, I just want to make sure everybody's okay. And so I check my little app. I'm like, okay, Morgan's at her house. Jody's at hers. Jillian's here. Morgan's my neighbor. So I know she's like right next door to me. So I just like to make sure everybody's in their house and everybody's safe. I don't do that often. It's just occasionally if I'm thinking about y'all, I like to make sure you're good.
You do. And it's a great quality trait, but you're totally going to be doing that with your kids.
I hope I'm a cool mom. I don't want to be a helicopter mom.
I think you'll also be a cool mom, but
okay.
you will be a helicopter mom. I think that's just part of your care.
Yeah.
You know?
I care.
Because caring can also come off as overbearing to a teenage kid. You know what I mean? So like it will be out of love and care, but you will totally be doing that. And probably more so than you do for us. You'll be checking them like
it's going to be
every
a lot.
hour.
Yes. I actually can see myself being that person. I think I'm just trying not to admit it, but I absolutely will probably be that person, that mom.
You are also a little FBI investigator and can find any and everything on the internet, which means your kids won't be able to hide anything from you.
No. Oh, no. You will not hide anything from me. Like you think you know tricks and secrets and how to get away with something. Nope. No. I will catch you.
You know, and I wanted to talk about too
I'm scared.
Well, no, it's kind of back to what we were talking about, but What has that experience been? Because we went on multiple different roads here, but you had mentioned how Tyler is your first boyfriend and now like potentially going to be your fiance. But what's that been like for you? He's your first boyfriend and you weren't dating before that. Is there like any part of you that thinks about that in that kind of situation?
Yes. Yes, I have thought about it. First of all, when I was never, part of the reasons I haven't dated was I feel like if I liked a guy, they wouldn't like me back. So it wasn't like a choice. Part of it was, but part of it wasn't. It was just people just didn't like me. So I always thought something was wrong with me.
Okay, I liked you.
Well, you know what I mean.
And I'm 99.9% sure, even though I have only known you my adult life, that there were people that liked you. You just probably didn't feel that back, so they never pursued it.
Or they didn't tell me.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah,
you're
maybe
beautiful, so I can guarantee that there were people that liked you.
Yeah, maybe. They just didn't tell me.
Okay.
So maybe there have been missed opportunities, which is fine because I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've always felt like, okay, something's wrong with me. If I'm not, nobody likes me, nobody wants to be in a relationship with me, something's wrong with me. And I'd have strangers on the internet tell me something was wrong with me too. So that didn't help.
Trolls.
Yeah, they definitely let me know. They're like, something's wrong with you. Like, are you, normal? I was like, no, I'm fine.
You're perfectly normal.
Yeah, I'm just not finding someone.
Your timeline was just different.
My timeline was different. And it was definitely worth the wait of waiting to find him. Like he is, like you said, just a gem of a human.
Yeah.
He's precious.
Well, do you feel like, do you still have those feelings now? Or once you met him, did that all kind of quiet itself?
It did. It quieted itself. I you know me, I struggle with self-confidence issues and things like that. So that stuff has remained, but it was different. It was, I do feel like I'm worthy enough and, good enough for someone. And so I feel very secure in that, but within myself, I definitely still have, the doubts and self-confidence issues, all those things.
You want to talk about that a little bit? Because mental health is part of this podcast.
Yes.
And we talk about those things a lot. So where do you feel like you're at kind of right now in your life with your, I guess you can say, self-love journey? Do you feel like you're on a better path, or do you feel like you're kind of stagnant? Where are you right now?
I feel like I'm in a good place now. I think a couple of years ago, I was not in the best place, which was right around the time, it was right before I started dating Tyler. But I'll never forget, we were at a dinner. I know you're going to remember what it was.
It was a Valentine's Day.
It was Valentine's Day dinner. And at that time, I was still single. And I just turned 30. And I just was having so many self-doubt issues. And I've dealt with that my entire life. Honestly, ever since I was in elementary school, I've dealt with self-confidence issues and didn't know it at the time. As I've gotten older, I've learned a lot about anxiety and things like that. And I know that's, what I was dealing with. But yeah, a couple years ago, I remember I was just in not a great place. I didn't like myself. I've always struggled with weight and, how I view myself, body issues. Yeah, body image issues. It's a great way to put that. So at that time, I was really dealing with a lot of those issues. And I've definitely always struggled with body image issues. And that's always probably been one of my main things that I've struggled with when it comes to myself and self-confidence issues. And a couple years ago, I was dealing with those things. And I feel like I can talk about I feel like it's kind of probably like trigger warning type stuff for some people, but I definitely do feel like I had like eating disorder type stuff. I mean, there were times that I would make myself throw up or I wouldn't eat, like I would starve myself. And I kind of had dealt with that a little bit in, my early 20s, and I was doing fine. And then for some reason, a couple years ago, I just was having some issues and just not loving myself. I was turning 30 and I was not at all where I thought I'd be in my life. And I think that had a lot to do with it, was turning 30 and realizing I'm not married. I don't own a house. I don't have kids. I'm not at all where I thought I would be in life. And I was also making career changes. So
everything all at once.
Everything was changing at once. And I was not feeling good about myself. And so a couple years ago, I just was not, and I was in a very dark place and just not feeling good about myself. And we were at that dinner and I don't remember what was said, something said, and I just started bawling my eyes out at the dinner. And we got up and went into your Jeep, and you and Jody were there, and y'all said, we're not leaving until you tell us what's going on. And I remember I was just crying so hard I couldn't barely speak. And I was just so embarrassed because I do need to say, I'd never really admitted to anybody that I did all of that stuff. And because I was embarrassed and nobody knew that had ever happened, that I was doing, making myself sick, not eating, things like that. Nobody knew. And I finally was able to open up to y'all about that. And I will never forget that night of just sitting there for, I don't even know how long, just crying. And I don't think many words were said. It was just y'all being there and being able to cry to y'all and admit, this is what's going on in my life. And I have these bad habits again. Like I had them before and I got past it, but it's happening again. And I feel alone and I feel stuck and I feel like, what do I do? So I remember being able to talk to y'all about that night.
I feel like that was a turning point for you because I had known you a couple years before that. We had been friends for a couple years at that point. And I had seen a little bit of the decline in your mental health just as you were making the changes with your career and things were just shifting in your life. And it was hard, just as life changes are and things happen. But I was watching it happen, and it was one of those things where I had said this to you multiple times. I was like, Hill, we got to go to therapy. Come on, we have to do this. Like, and you just would kind of look at me like, yeah, I know. And I just kind of sat there waiting. It was a tough position as a friend because all I wanted to do was help you. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't help you until you wanted to help yourself.
Yeah.
I could just keep saying, hey, let's do this. Or, hey, I'm here. But it didn't matter, right? Because all you can do is just physically be there and wait until the timing is right for that person to make that decision. And people have been there for me at that point in my life. And I knew that was the position that I needed to do for you at that time. So when that did finally happen, I don't know if you felt like a whole weight off your shoulders, but I felt this concern that I had for you finally go away. And it was like you had reached the point where you were like, I need help and I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt just even admitting to y'all a weight lifted off my shoulders. And it was, I don't know. I'm so bad with all, just talking about problems. Like I'm a peacemaker. I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. I'm very much a peacemaker. And I don't like to talk about problems with myself, or if I have a problem with somebody, I'm just not good about talking about things. I sweep it under the rug. Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to be a burden. And I think I had just gotten to a point where I was so low that I needed to say something. And I just had hit my breaking point. And I did end up going to therapy and it helped so much. I was on anxiety medications and that helped. I knew I needed to get my life, back, and I needed to be happy with myself. I also started going to church. Again, that was about the time when I started dating Tyler, and I credit y'all and I credit him with, the healing, I guess, that I had from that. I started going to church with him, and I needed that. That was, first of all, the main thing I needed. And then going, talking to somebody about how I was feeling. And I just feel like I call it like a silent struggle. I was silently struggling for so long and didn't want to admit anything. And so when I finally did, there were just people were able to tell me how I can kind of help myself, like what I can do. And, it's going to be okay. And I just had kind of silently dealt with it for so long that it really was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. So,
you are the personality type of who you are is 100% a peacemaker. Definitely. But more so than that, it's funny. I called this out at the beginning of our friendship because we are vastly different in our personalities. But it's more so because I wear my heart on my sleeve. You're going to hear everything that's going on in my life. It's going to be out there. I suck at lying. So it's just, it's like word vomit all the time. Yes. And you're much more reserved. Yeah. So we would have a few dinners, especially at the beginning of our friendship, where I'm like, I still don't know anything about Hillary. And I feel like she doesn't want to tell me anything because you kept it all in. You were the person that, oh, it's okay. Like and you didn't want to. And I was like, I don't want to push because I don't want her to be uncomfortable, but also I need to know things about her if we're going to have a friendship, you know? And you did. As time went on, you would open up more, but it was still part of you. Like, I really had to push on you when I needed to know if you were okay. Yeah. I had to be like, no, I know you're not. So tell me. And this is a safe space and get it out right now. Yeah. And I'm glad though that you've evolved in who you are, that you've at least learned that you are allowed to say things and not feel shame or like repercussions for that.
Yeah. And just embarrassed.
I think what you had before.
Yeah.
Like afraid of what was going to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, I felt like people would, I don't know. It's not that I felt people would judge me, but again, like I felt I never want to be a problem. I never want to be a burden for people. And I felt like I was. And I know that's terrible to say because I know y'all don't feel that way, but that's just how I felt. And I didn't want people to feel like they had to take their time and their energy to worry about me. And so I kind of would just pretend like everything was okay.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had previous people in your life who had made you feel that way.
Yes.
So there was reason for you to believe that this was going to be everyone.
Yeah, it did.
So why would you trust new people? Why would you make friends when the only history you've known is these horrible experiences? Of course, that's who you were for a long time. And it hurts my heart that it took so long for you to finally be like, it almost took you cracking to be able to finally be like, no, these people aren't leaving.
Yeah.
And that was how much hurt and pain and trauma those people inflicted on you for then you to have years of that finally kind of melt away and say, okay, I have to do this because otherwise I don't know what the other option is.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that in like that way?
I really haven't. This is like the first time I'm really kind of thinking of it this way, and kind of going along with that. I'm thinking back to, I feel like this just goes to show how I feel so healed in a much better place. I forget about some of those things that I've gone through. And because I didn't have the best friendships before I met y'all. And that definitely didn't help things. And I'd never really felt like I had a great group of friends who were there through everything and were going to be there through everything until I met y'all. And we just have such a good core group of friends here. And that may be why I felt that way, is I just didn't, I had my family, like me and my mom are best friends. And I didn't tell her any of this when I was dealing with it at the time. But
well, again, associated with shame and the embarrassment. Right.
I didn't want her to know like I was thinking these things, and that I would literally look in the mirror and think, I don't like anything about myself and I'm so unhappy. I'm not going to eat today because I don't like how I look. And I didn't want her to know that. She already worries about me enough, like moving away from home. I don't need to worry her even more. So that's kind of where my mind was at. And so I think that was probably the person I could open up to about stuff was. And I just bottled it all in, and I didn't want to talk about it. And so I just kind of hid it. But I think I've dealt with this ever since middle school and high school. I've dealt with things like this. So
yeah, you certainly haven't had an easy road in the conversations we've had. And that was one of the things you and I connected with heavily on when we first became friends, was the bullying and the mean girls, and am I ever going to have friends, and what does that look like? And
yeah,
it's really hard. And you are right. I remember very little at this point. I've blocked a lot out. I had my teacher who was the one who I'd like hide in her classroom.
I saw that. Yes, that was so sweet. I love that you had her on.
It was so good, but she would recall things and I was like, dang, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And it was like my body, once I let go of it and healed from it, I was like, oh, I put that. And like even her and I just talking after, she's like, Morgan, like you really went through some horrible things. And she would recall these situations. And I'm like, wow, I forgot that. That was pretty bad. Yeah.
It's like when you're healed, it's kind of like you forget, you just feel at peace. And so you're not worrying about those things anymore.
And they're not a trigger anymore. So that's why I think.
Yeah.
There's still pieces of those that are, right? Like that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
When this moment happened and you had this trigger of like, oh gosh, I'm about to do this and I don't know what the reaction is going to be.
This is interesting. Yeah.
But I think you've grown even from that because now that's not a trigger, right? Now you open up to us all the time.
Right. I tell y'all everything. Y'all are like, that's probably a little too much. No, but yeah, I know I can tell y'all anything. Have I ever told you? I don't know if I've shared this. I think this is why a lot of my like body issues started about this one teacher we had in high school. It was middle school, high school. So I've always, ever since I was young, I remember I was always the girl who like had boobs. Like I was curvy even when I was like middle schooler. And I always thought that was a negative thing because all my friends were like stick figures and looked like models. And I was like, oh, why don't I look like that? And so
curves are great, by the way.
They are.
It's beautiful.
I've embraced them now. But I went to a private school and there was this one lady there. Still remember her to this day, picturing her right now. I always felt that I was a target because I had big boobs. Like I couldn't wear tank tops and stuff because I'd get in trouble, like camis and stuff underneath, like we had to wear collared shirts. And so all my friends would wear, camis and tank tops under theirs. I wasn't allowed to do that because if any little cleavage showed, I would get in trouble. So this is from 8th grade to senior in high school that I'm being told constantly, pull your shirt up, button your shirt up. You can't look like that.
That's a prime time in a girl's life where she's taking everything in.
And so I've always thought like, my body like is something I should be ashamed of. And I think that's where a lot of this started. And I'll never forget my senior year of high school. We were going to prom and we had to get our dresses approved before prom. And I had gotten mine approved by a teacher. This specific lady did not see my dress beforehand. So she hadn't approved it. So when I walked into prom, she sees me. I barely walked in and she immediately comes up to me. She goes, "What are you wearing?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Did you get your dress approved?" And I said, "Yeah, I did. So-and-so approved it." And she said, "I would have never approved this dress. I cannot believe you're wearing that." When I tell you, it was like a little sweetheart, like neckline. I even added straps. Like it was so modest. And anybody who knows my mother knows she is not going to let me walk out of the house with my boobs hanging out. Like that's just not going to happen. I've come from a very, modest family. And I cried. I went in the bathroom and because she even said, "I won't make you leave if you can cover up." And I was like, "You're going to make me leave because of this?" And I see another girl over here who like her dress is a little bit lower than mine and you're not saying anything to her. And I had been made to believe like my entire middle school, high school years that the way my body was wrong and that I needed to cover up. And my mother was not happy about that. But it was just crazy. And so I was so just like, I was shaking, I was crying. And the teacher who had approved my dress, her name is Miss Hall. I feel like I need to give her a shout out because she's amazing. And she found me in the bathroom and she was like, "What's going on?" And I told her and she was so unhappy. And she was like, "You are beautiful. Your dress is beautiful. I want you to go out there and have a good time and ignore this. You are beautiful." And it was just so sweet to have her in that moment be able to say that to me. But I think that's where a lot of my issues began was, constantly being told that the way you look and what you have is wrong.
Well, rightfully so, because that was a teacher. That was somebody in a position of power who made you feel inadequate in a very vulnerable moment. And so taken aback when you had done all of the right steps.
Yeah.
Like this is someone who targeted you for sure in a way. And that hurts my heart for you. And I think it's a testament to, you said her name is Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
And teachers like mine, Mrs. Manning, who do step in when the other ones fail, you know, and they show up and they make you feel warm and welcome and loved for who you are. But it's also scary. It's a scary thing that there's people out there in the world, especially in the very formative years of kids' lives, who can set the course in the wrong direction. Like, even though you had this other teacher who came in and said, do not listen to this, you're beautiful, amazing, that still planted a seed in your head, and it stayed there and it never went away.
Yeah, I will never forget how that made me feel. And I still, you know, to this day feel that way when I'm wearing things. I'm like, oh, got to make sure I'm all covered up, or, you know, got to make sure I'm looking okay. Because it's just so ingrained in my brain.
Yeah.
And I hate, you know, it's so sad. But I think that's where a lot of my body issues began, was from that. And somebody commenting on it and, you know, telling me the way I looked wasn't right.
You know, I remember there was a time when you were trying on dresses for something. We were in your room.
Was it CMA Awards, or was it for like,
I can't remember what it was. It might have been CMA Awards.
Okay.
But you were showing me different dress options. And I remember this being a conversation where you're like, well, my boobs
CMA
are showing.
Awards.
I was like, who cares? They look amazing.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there trying to like hype you up in every direction because you looked fabulous. But this was and you're like, I can't. And I don't think you ended up wearing that dress.
I didn't.
Because of that reason.
I got something else that was like straight across, because it's just in my brain. Because it's not even that I think it's wrong. It's how now I see myself, and I see, oh, that's not good, or that doesn't look good, or, oh, you know, I'm fat, or, you know, it honestly just turned into that. It made me just hate every single piece of my body.
You know what? I hope on your wedding day you wear a sweetheart neckline wedding dress.
You know, I've thought about that, and I think that it's going to, I hope it doesn't, but I think it may affect how I shop for dresses and stuff. I thought about my wedding day and what I'm going to wear, and
I will be there to shop with you for dresses, and I am not going to let you not pick out the dress you want.
You're going to be like, you're wearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something, it's crazy. I'm about to be 32, and it's something that still affects me to this day. I think of those moments and think of, you know, the other times people have commented on my body and, you know, said things about it. I just think about that.
Well, I'm sure there's other women out there listening who feel similar. So like, if you could go back and tell yourself something in that moment, what would you have wanted to hear? Besides the fact that this shouldn't have happened.
Right.
This teacher that's coming up
this shouldn't have happened. Honestly, I would just look at myself and I would tell myself, you're beautiful. I know that sounds so cheesy, but I would, because I didn't think I was. And I would just tell myself, you're going to be okay. You're going to, like, look where I'm at now. At the time I wanted to move to Nashville. I wanted to have this job. I wanted to do all these things, and I was able to go do it. So I would just tell myself, you're beautiful and you're going to be okay. Just keep going.
Oh, well, that's why I always end everything on advice, and that was really pretty advice. So I feel like that's where we should end it.
Oh, thank you.
Even though I want to talk to you forever, and we have more to catch up on, I guess you'll just have to come back for a part 2.
Yeah, I would love to. I love doing stuff like this. I've missed it so much. So I will come. I'll come talk to you off mics, but also on mics anytime.
Yes, do another one. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we leave?
I think we've covered a lot. I think I'm good.
I do
want to say I'm very happy for you and where you're at in life. Like, I do want to say that. Like, you are just killing it and amazing. and I'm not just saying that because you're, you know, one of my best friends, but I mean, just over our friendship, the growth I have seen in you is just incredible. You sat here and talked about me this whole time, but you, like, I mean, it's just been amazing.
No, now I'm gonna cry. This was you. You were my guest. We were talking about you. I do feel like I am in a, you know, where they say you have to shed old layers and old experiences to enter a new season.
Yeah.
I think this was almost a year of a lot of shedding.
Yeah.
And next year is about to be a crazy year.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. Even though this year was crazy. And I look at this year and it's wild. But
it was absolutely crazy. But you survived and you did it. And I feel you've grown so much and have learned very hard lessons, but you're still standing and you're doing amazing. And it's like Happy Morgan is here and back and like my beautiful, bright, positive friend. And I love that.
Oh, well, thank you. You've been a great friend to me for the entire time that I've known you. So I'm just glad that you're so happy and in a very happy phase of your life. And you have gotten to see how amazing you are as you've grown.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you and your friendship. And
our little love fest needs in because I'm going to cry. Okay.
Yes,
bye, everybody.